always try to figure things out. Elisha. Elijah was caught up in a whirlwind to heaven, and Elisha got a double portion. I think what my problem is when I try to look at one person with that title, and then I think what helps is trying to understand that there's a 7-year tribulation period. There's a half and half. This side gets this half a time. The next side gets the other half, is how I'm perceiving it. And when one person is, let's say Elijah is talking to God, and this is all scripted. So Elijah in the YouTube platform was scripted to be talking to God, and the perception of who he's talking to, it's the same thing that I claim, is that God is a spirit. It's just something that was, like, when I hopped into the YouTube platform a little over 6 years ago, I didn't do it because I was hired to do it. I didn't do it because somebody told me to do it. I did it free will, voluntarily, all my own. Then I start to meet some people. At first I think, oh, this is cool. I got a bunch of friends helping me out, helping me understand the Bible. That dude liked the truck, that's cool. And so they helped me understand it. But I didn't realize at the time that there were people that were trying to get me to agree with them in a certain way. Certain things you'd think the same on, but then others, it's like they try to lead you into their interpretation. And then that's when I've discovered how you don't really have any friends. They're actually backstabbers, and they have an agenda, and they're hired actually to do that thing, and they're devils. So I've come across a lot of demons, a lot of demonically possessed people. Demons would try to stick in my head. I've come across a bunch of, not only just actual people who made videos about me, who had names that were higher up in the food chain, like Tyler Mullen being the Jesuits vicar of Jesus, at the same time that Stephen James DeShawn was the vicar of Lucifer. And it's still public knowledge. It's still out there. You type in those names and that's what comes up with those names. Not anybody else's names. I don't see it in any other titles when it comes to vicar of Lucifer besides Stephen James. And I believe I said it before, back in the day, Stephen James reminded me of Ahab, King Ahab. More wicked. He did more wickedness in the sight of the Lord, like in the sight of his eyes. His eyes seen the wickedness that he was doing. Not so much everybody else. And then that reminds me of what I seen through SJD. The pure wickedness of lying about me specifically. And then doing it over and over and over and year after year. And he's this top guy, Luciferian of the United States, head leading gang stalker. It all says that about him. And he's been lying about me, and he hasn't stopped. But at some point, you do stop. At some point, you're done with acting. Or people will just be evil continually, forever. So, I looked at him like that. But then also at one point in the Bible, it says how he repented, King Ahab. But I don't know if that was a public repent, or how it felt. But then you have Jezebel, and I've seen that Tyler Mullen was playing that role too. Because if he's the vicar of Jesus, and Stephen James is the vicar of Lucifer, and you have these two, names, and then they act like they're just regular, one's poor suffering servant, the other one works at a gas station or something. Well, that leads me to years ago pointing at two characters that I've come across on the YouTube platform who have attacked me and made videos. Probably at least, I remember the one time I got Tyler Mullen so fired up that he made about 30 videos in one day about me. 22 of them, I think, was the titles, and then there might have been like 30 of them. I mean, I got demons to rise up for real, and I don't think it was an act. I think I really truly got people severely fired up, and so years ago, it's like, well, if that was King Ahab and Jezebel, and then here we go again, but then this time it's like a different, like the giant type of channels, because who's gonna represent Jezebel? Because as soon as I said something about her, my dog had about 5 seizures in one night. And, I look at it like this, and I try to explain it to my wife, because they're going to attack anything. And I'm sure that's not the last of it. I'm sure I'm not seeing even the brunt of it. I am king, whether you want to believe it or not. Just remove that first 4 and add a 1 to it. I don't care who Jezebel is. I don't care who King Ahab is. I don't care who any of yous are that are still just either tolerating that woman Jezebel, or you are that woman Jezebel, because you know scripture, right? You know what happens. You know what happens. The only thing is, how long of a period of time is it really in between? Because history is repeating itself. Unless we're making history right now, but apparently my life has already been recorded, so it's repeating. For me, it's the first time I remember doing anything. So whatever it is, I just know that from experience, that's what happens. My dog he's a mixed boxer lab. And when I looked up the life expectancy of it, they only live to be 10 to 12 years old. I got Bowie in 2012. He's going to be 11 around Christmas, because he was a Christmas present for my wife and my stepson, Christian. So, but it's actually not normal. Well, no. It's not natural for a dog at the end of its life to have seizures like that. That's not a normal thing. I mean, sorry, it is normal. 2 years ago, I think when I Googled it, or maybe even, was it last year? No, it was the Christmas before that, yeah. So it's been about a year and a half. I remember Steve Benoom was probably the day before. Yeah, okay. So I think the day before he mentioned something about some guy that loves his dog or loves his animals, and because I can catch on to everybody's language, I looked at it as once Bowie had a seizure that Christmas Day, it was a reference to that. And then the other time I remember, my dog had like 3 seizures in a row, and it was something I said about Stephen James DeShawn, and then and then I think he showed his dog in the video and then what'd you say, Steve? Something about receiving the message, pal. And then you did it again the last time with your dog. I think Bowie had a few seizures that day too. What am I saying? Read between the lines. One of them tolerating another, or one of them warning me about the one that's evil, that's confirming, you get the message, pal. I told my wife that's well, she knows it's not normal, right, for dogs to have seizures at the end of their life. Although it is normal now, because I think if you Google it, it's a normal thing now. Just a year and a half ago, not normal at all. It's basically was unheard of. They usually have seizures at the beginning, somewhere in the middle maybe. I don't know why they don't have them at the end, but so apparently Bowie is already about 11 years old. Well, yeah, he's 10 plus. He's close to 11 years. He's right there at the lifespan of how long dogs live with that mixed breed. But I'll tell you, when he's not zapped out and stupefied, he runs around like he's still a young chicken. So it just doesn't make sense that he would die like within this year or next year. So the seizures have taken a toll on him. And I don't believe that they're natural. Although it's a normal thing that happens to targeted individuals and families. And the one thing about Jezebel is she takes it to the very end. She doesn't stop until, I forget how the story exactly goes. Did they push her off the ledge? Because whatever it was, the dogs licked the blood, but left her feet and left her hands and feet. And it says in the Bible that Jezebel was not something like, I don't know, like pretty to look at or something like that, or to the eye. But it could be talking about spirit. But these are the things that happens, and so I told my wife, look, I'll take the responsibility that it's because of my mouth that my dog is getting attacked with about 5 seizures in one day. I think that's a record. I think you guys hit a record on that one. But she can't go around living her life feeling sorry for the dog. Because what is it really? The dog, from what we hear, they have seizures, right? They don't feel pain during the seizure. They just don't know what's going on. And then he always seems to snap out of it eventually. And so I told her, but at some point he's not going to snap out of it. and his life expectancy is up as of right now. Whether it's a targeted thing from seizures or not, his time is up. It's coming close. So anything that my wife loves, they will attack. And they know how her mind is, because it gets fragile sometimes, but then other times she steps it up. And I believe it's because of, if you start repenting from certain things, the organization isn't going to like it, so they're going to attack you even more. And Satan's job is to just do and attack anything that you love or care about. Test you with everything that he possibly can. I swear I seen a hologram earlier. Some girl was walking by across the street, and she was walking pretty quick, and she was looking down at her phone and walked right past the car. When I looked over, she didn't keep walking past the car. Like, yeah, there's some houses there, but her motion was going too quick to make a quick left-hand turn inside of the house. And I seen nothing after that, like vanished. So, I mean, if that's the case, man, people, when they flip the switch for the alien or the reptilian invasion, or we're gonna see some things that aren't even real, but boy oh boy, you're not gonna be able to know if that's the case how I seen it. Because it seemed, I think it even happened yesterday in Wawa. I swore I seen two people walk towards the bathroom, and they weren't workers at Wawa. They were customers walking towards the bathroom. So I waited outside because I wasn't trying to be in a three-man stall where there's a pooper and two pissers. I'll just wait my turn. And I waited like 4 minutes, and because I sensed it was like a gang stalking tactic, I just wanted to disrupt it a little bit. And then only one person came out. The only other door from where the two people walked from towards the bathroom is the exit door that makes a sound, a siren, when you open it, and the flap doors to the left that for the employees that wear Wawa shirts. Yeah. So I don't know, I think somebody said before, this world is just filled with, it's just half and half. It's like half. Can you imagine some of these cars aren't even real? I mean, what is real anyway? If your life has already been played out, recorded, you're living through it now, you have deja vus. It's like, man, I could have swore I did this before. Guess what? You did. That's why you have them. And so somebody was saying that this world is basically filled with just mixtures of holograms, and I'm thinking, shut up, clown. And I hear about aliens. It's like, come please. And they're talking about reptilians. Like, come on. Then I hear about men being able to get pregnant. Let's say, whatever. And I hear about time travel, and they can think they know what you're going to do before. Get out of here. Then I hear how they can read your mind and they already know your thought. Like, please. It's all true. It's the weirdest damn thing that I get to be a messenger to relay it to people, and not everybody can accept it, but I mean, I couldn't either. It's like when I used to call Jonathan Click a false prophet and gay. I've even said that before because I didn't understand that people wearing masks, they could be women underneath of a mask, number one, so you can be judging them wrongly in that way. Or number two, they can just sound like more feminine because they're male and female, and they're not gay either or. It's you're male and female together in your own body. You're both. And then, you know, then you create men that are just normal. There's different beasts of the field. And a lot of things I never believed before. And a lot of things I thought were true are not. I remember Derek Bros talked a lot about that when he was on that channel speaking quite often. It's like everything you thought you knew, you don't. He said time's up right after 10 days, 8 days after the art museum footage, that I realized I'm opening up a window of time, communicating with a source that has shown me my life in music videos from 39 years ago. 38, 30. Most of those videos that I played of YouTube were at least 30 years old, 1986. Those things are impossible unless you live in a dreamland type of a movie set. Only movies make videos like that, can do things like that. So again, I can't explain it. I don't know. I mean, I can only explain what happened. I can't tell you how it's physically possible. But when I was down there at Kret yesterday, at where the Israeli flag is, this is just a summary of what I believe that happened. Once again, I'm tapping in, turning the X app on, and I'm playing someone's video that had already been recorded previously, Jonathan Kleck. I'm playing the video. That's pretty nice. And I feel like I need to go and take a look at those two black rocks. And if you take both those black rocks and you split them, in half, you can open them up and put trees in them. Because as I was walking out, and Kleck starts talking about walking out there, and then I'm walking out there, and then he's showing the black rocks, and now I'm showing you something that's very similar to a black rock, split down the middle, two of the same at the same exact time. So again, it's just like a tap-in moment from a period of time. Not everybody believes that, because I never would have believed it either. And it's always going to sound ridiculous if your eyes aren't open, or if your heart's just closed, or if you have a stiff neck or whatever. The Bible is perfectly being played out with absolute perfection, in more of a way than I could have ever thought before. And I get to show you stuff like that. When Kleck is laying hands on somebody, what he's doing is showing whoever it is that he's laying it. Because I got the comment from someone, I think you're Derek Bros's moderator, I think. Are you related to Skywatch? Are you related to Johnny from Denver? Tracy? And then I always remember this too. I could be speaking with just bots. Disagreeing bots. Kind bots. Vile bots. And I could be talking to real people too. I could be talking to people that aren't agents from the inside, which is rare, but I could be. And So at some point, people will get it. They'll understand, because right now there's more of a denial period. Because when you lay, and I said the same thing. I used to say, come on, laying hands on, healing people that are blind. Shut up, Click. It's so ridiculous that you're trying to get people to believe that, like, you're Jesus or something. And then, so when you lay hands on somebody, here's what you do. You have a video, and it's something that I'm showing, revealing, that's been hidden. And what Jonathan Clegg is doing is he's coming up to whoever his buddy is. He's like, hey, look. So he lays his hand on his shoulder. He's like, hey, look, take a look at this. He shows him something that they know is a secret that nobody else knows, but I reveal it through Jonathan Clegg showing them. And he's like this. All right, look, here, come here. I'm going to show you something. Watch. Robin, what he's going to do. So this is like 2 days before I do it, or a day beforehand. He goes up. He shows somebody. He puts his money where his miracle is. He says, watch. At exactly, I don't know, 4:02 p.m., Robin Henry Tees, tomorrow, he's going to go down to Black Rock. To This Is It. He's going to sit there in black. He's going to wear all black. He's going to go there. He's going to sit down. It's going to hailstorm. There's going to be great hailstones dropping down while he's underneath the tent. And what he's going to do is he's going to show you these two halves of these two black rocks, like if you cut it in half. And he's going to show you that at the same exact time that I'm going to talk about it. Tomorrow. Watch. You'll see. Tomorrow. And then he's going to make a video of it. And he's going to show you that same thing the next day after he did it. And then I'm going to come back to you. In the meanwhile, he has his hands on whoever's shoulder. He's laying hands on him. And then he tells him that story. So can you imagine being that person on the other end, and then all of a sudden that takes place, and you know that I'm not part of any organization, and you've been privy to, basically, you could have been following me for quite some time. You know that I don't talk to anybody, really. I don't hold conversations with people over the phone or text messages very often to anybody, especially anybody that knows anything or that's willing to talk about it. So can you imagine being that person, and you're blind, although you can see just fine. You have 20/20 vision, but you're blind and you're still sick because you're sick of, to death of liars. And so what you do is the hands are laid upon you on your shoulder, and then you're given this information. You are given this information, and then there's a confirmation that happens with what Clegg knew I was already going to do, because he's from some place of time through some type of door that he knows apparently what's going to happen in my life. But so I believe so do demons. You see, so does Netanyahu, because he had a meeting with the Santis, and Jonathan Lizard, right? Is that what you're trying to say? Was upset because of the meeting. And I remember I met Steve Ben-Nun down there at the Israeli flag. So if you put Netanyahu, Benjamin, Ben, and then Stephen Ben-Nun together, the title was Jonathan Liz, and then Jacob Israel did something about some Liz name or something, or also was upset about the meeting because nothing was said about it. And so it's like the dragon being wroth with the woman type of ordeal scenario, feeling. wroth with the woman's seed, which is one person, amongst the dragon's seed, which is plural, everybody. Tolerating that woman Jezebel, huh? And then next thing you know, here I am walking at 4:02 exactly, and then there I go, I'm showing you the Black Rocks, and there's witnesses that heard Click say it out loud to the people, and then it's a miracle because the next day I did exactly what he told people I was going to do before I did it, knowing that this is real time right now, at least in this realm of existence. We're in real time. And then instantaneously, the person, their eyes just wide awake, wide open, all of a sudden just, what? And then I'm the one that's doing that, and I get to show people what it truly means for hands to be laid upon. It's not some fake ass hocus pocus, you can now see again. I pray in the name of the Lord and Jesus. Please hail this man. Lord, come into his life and just open his eyes. And then punch him in his chest and he falls to the ground. Like, holy shit, I can see. Thank you, preacher. Nah, it's not like that. It's like exactly how I'm telling you it is. Let it sink in, devils. Let it sink in. Let it sink in if you have a tough time believing reality. Let this sink in. I'm 46 years old. I'll be 47 June 28th, 2023. U2 was together for 40 years, or married, Bono and Ali. Ali was with Bono for 46 years as of right now. The interview was 4 months ago, 5 months ago. I was still 46 years old when they asked the question, and Ali said, it feels like we've been together for 100 years. You know, like Abraham and Sarah, as that's what that reminded me of. Having a child at an old age, but not an actual physical child, more like a birth of someone who's like a man already, a birthing of that man to them. And they made their videos of, on an average, about 30 years ago. Every video that I played walking into the art museum, all I'm trying to demonstrate is what it's like being on the rock. Going to Gennady, the desert land, and the Logan Square in the center, the little building there. Going to the landing zone and then dropping down. There's also two wind blades at the Philadelphia Art Museum where the rock is, the Rocky. The William Penn Building, and then now going to the Black Rock and putting those two rocks together. And then there's the other side of Johnny's group, which seems to be the other race of either non-believers, well, yeah, I mean, you can even believe what I'm doing is a miracle, but you're still in denial that anything I've ever said will come to pass, as if there's going to be some kind of shift change in spiritual leadership throughout the planet. And if you're on the wrong side, you're going to get cut off. And if you have the mark of the beast that's in you, please, 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 I promise, Jesus is inside of you. So if you have received that mark, and you're listening to me right now, and you know exactly damn well what I'm talking about, because it's the abomination of desolation that stands in the holy place. The sin is, who seeth us? Who knoweth what we're doing? That's what the sin is. The pride of it, pissing on Jesus, picture that Steve Banoon showed and Yana, and being cocky about it, because that's what that means. The Jewish guy is pissing as if he can't control his elephant trunk, that it's just pissing all over the place, and it's pissing like a racehorse because they're being cocky. And that's all, again, haughty. How many things is it that God hates? Is it 7 different things, or 10, or a haughty look, a proud, a lying tongue? It's mainly the 2, really. They're the things that sicken me to death. And then to think that anything's ever going to change. Well, a house divided means Satan's house cannot stand. When one side isn't going with the other side anymore, it's because the one side, yeah, you may have all been playing a script, and then all of a sudden, here's what happens. The truth finally shows up. It's the reality of it. Everything else was scripted. Now that you see the truth, you're sick of fakery yourself. Satan's house is divided because somebody's tired of Satan inside of them, and then they cast Satan out because they become the sheep in serpent's clothing. From the inside, Dr. Jones. They get changed from the inside out. They're on my side. My side is the side of truth and revelation. It's getting so solidly communicated with solid rock, concrete evidence to those that are in charge and that need to see it. They need to see it. I'm not concerned anymore about anybody else who doesn't see it. Whatever I say on this platform, I've gotten past the point of letting demons dictate my way of thinking and being hesitant to say anything that sounds ridiculous, or even call people out by name and say, well, I think you must be you seem like Jezebel to me. And then Ahab, round 2, which leads me back to the Elijah and Elisha thing. Maybe in the beginning, Elisha was acting as Elijah, talking to the Lord. Then the Lord shows up. Then all of a sudden, Elijah, who is really Elisha, is actually talking to the Lord. And then the Lord basically turns into Elijah, because Elisha even said, as the Lord lives, and also as you do, as you live as well, Elijah. And then whatever else he said, it's almost like Elisha was calling Elijah the Lord. So it's like a step down, and that's where I think I've been confused, and that's where I think that's where the problem is. There's a time period that goes by, one person's acting like another, because the Spirit is speaking, and then they actually start talking with the Lord in spirit, and then they take their role. Now, I'm not sure if that's the case, but it's just how I feel that it is, where people now step down into their actual role. Just like with Jesus walking the earth. And maybe the two thieves, one of them was saying, that or maybe they're both acting as Jesus, right? And then Barabbas is picked, so there's three of them. And then maybe the one was trying to call Jesus his father. But Jesus came into the system he'd already had a relationship with the Father, which is in heaven, without knowing anybody, like without knowing the temple guards or the temple, highest trained reviewers, or Pilate or Herod or any of them, or even being slain as a child and not even knowing it, going to the slaughter, dumb, deaf, and not saying anything, and then rising up from the dead, and then they try to put him to death again, and then it's like, I'll kill Jesus all over again. That's right. I'm glad the Jews killed him. And then she gets the middle finger, because that's how Jonathan Kleck feels about that. And so maybe Jesus was looked at as the Father to the one side, but then the other side that's kicking and screaming was like, no, come here, Jesus. Look here, son. All right. And then, because that person could possibly be Jesus' literal father, which could be Satan, but it doesn't mean that's his actual father in spirit. So even Jesus' father could be Satan himself, but he won't worship his father. He'll worship his Father in heaven, because his Father in heaven is just a spirit. And then maybe the other person at the same time was like, Father, it's me, your son, Jesus. So then that thief was trying to take the place of Christ, but then repents, because it's like, no, you're not Jesus, and neither are you. Jesus is Jesus. The Spirit of Christ is what it is. In you, the hope of glory. As soon as Kleck said hope of glory, I knew he was talking about Jacob Israel. Jacob Israel hasn't really said much. But he said, bye-bye, Miss America Pie, because you drove your Chevy to the levee, and now your levee is dry. America Pie is the triangle holy place. Bye-bye. So, at this point, the two have become one. Even though it looks like they haven't, but I believe they have, because my time has been 6 years in, and I've been hidden for 6 years. Really, like, I've been hidden up until I went to the art museum, and now that I'm already 6 years in, what are you gonna do? Burn my house down? Get me fired? Zap my dog? What are you gonna do? What do? You take it to the very end. I'm gonna stand there alone in my own footprints with the help of angels from a different time period. I don't know how the end looks, where how it's supposed to look with my retirement fund. Does once this thing's all finished, everybody who took money, everybody who gets donations all the time from YouTube, you finally break down and tithe over here, because I put in a tremendous amount of work and I saved your life, your soul. Or do I die in order to get to heaven. And then the people that kill me, they think they're getting rid of me, but all you're doing is setting me free, and I'm going to continue to torment you from heaven. That's all. I'll torment you until everybody is washed clean or stomped out. Because now I have the authority to do that. Because I'm not hidden anymore. Jonathan Kleck's telling everybody to watch. It's time to watch. You can watch and deny all you want, but watch. Because it's necessary. Even if he was Judas himself leading me into a trap so I can get killed and be like, yeah, Robin, you want to act like Jesus? Fine, we're going to kill you like Jesus. Well, Father, if this cup can pass, I mean, who wants to be nailed to a cross? I don't think Jesus really wanted to be nailed to a cross either. But, so be it. If I get to leave, you mean I get to go home and I just got to suffer major pain for a day? All right. I'm ready to get into my eternal body anyway. Because I sure do get tired down here, just like Elijah gets tired. They said he's a human being. I'm a human being, but I'm also bullheaded like Elisha. So both characters could be intertwined because they're doing the same thing. And they're talking to the same Lord. So, and either way, the only reason why things can happen down here and change on earth is because Satan's house is divided. Oh, look. Was that Jonathan Liz was upset that Netanyahu was talking with... I don't really know much about the DeSantis, but the way that her accent is stressing DeSantis, she kept saying tease. Almost as if she was talking about me, because, the governor of Florida, I don't live in Florida, but I was born in Florida, and I'm here to drain the swamp, and the swamp is in Florida, because so is Petco 2, where the guy with the tooth for a tooth was kicked off into the swamp, drowning. So I'm here to drain the swamp. I got 2 minutes left on my phone anyway at the time. And I'm ready to go back to Florida once the swamp is drained, to the Trump International Beach Resort to kickstart. I want to go there for 30 days. I want to do exactly what I said I was going to do to start out with. So just keep watching.